Do you need to get more patients back into clinic right now? Perhaps the numbers of patients you've been seeing are still down, or maybe the patients you're seeing aren't quite the right fit for you. Let's face it, there isn't a clinic in the land left untouched by the coronavirus pandemic. So if you're still suffering, follow along for my 6 tips. Hi, I'm Dr. Cass Smith at Private Practice Ninja, and in this video I'm going to be giving you 6 tips on how you can get patients back into clinic. And if you're new to our YouTube channel, click the subscribe button, hit that little notification bell, and YouTube will let you know when we've made another video. Times have changed in the private practice world, and maybe, just maybe, you've been relying a little bit too heavily on old referrers. Certainly in my practice in the City of London, the numbers of people coming into work are massively down, so it's no surprise that the old referrers don't have as many patients to send to us. Is this the case for you? So my first tip number 1, is always be on the hunt for new referrers. You've probably forgotten how to do this, maybe you've been a bit in your comfort zone, but drag up Google Maps, go search for the practices around you, connect with people you've not connected with before, and catch up with those it's been a little while with, yeah? Tip number 2 is to rejig your online messaging so it's much more towards potential patients. Our patients are online researchers, and now more than ever, from bigger geographical areas, patients are searching for solutions to their problems. They are hunting for people like you. So, if your website is a little bit stuffy, a little bit generic, does it really speak to the patient's problem? Are your social media posts much more about, the latest and greatest surgical technique rather than what the patient is actually experiencing? Tip number 3 is to be very sure to clarify your niche, because patients are looking for an expert. If I want to see an expert in lung cancer diagnosis, I want to read on the website that the consultant is an expert in lung cancer diagnosis and not an expert in asthma, bronchiectasis, mesothelioma, you get it. So make sure that you specify your niche, because patients will then find you as the expert. On your website, use patient stories to demonstrate that expertise, and make sure you put testimonials that relate specifically to that problem. And finally, don't forget the all-important call to action. It's very nice when someone reads content, but if they aren't being called to do something next, i.e. click a button to book an appointment or click a button that will take you through to your MedSec's phone number, then you're missing a trick. Tip number 4 is to talk more about your niche on social media. So you might be thinking, I don't really have a niche, I like treating the whole person, but you do have a niche in the way that you show up to solve the problem. So in your social posts, let's imagine you're an osteopath who likes treating city lawyers who work long hours and get back pain. Rather than posting, don't sit for so long, why not show up instead and say, do you know what, we know sitting for 10 hours a day ain't ideal, but we know you've got to do the work, so I'm going to help you by getting more robust so you can survive the day. Tip number 5 is to make video content that patients are actually searching for. Have a look at your competitors. How many of them are regularly showing up and making video for patients? Not many, which means you have the advantage. Now the key thing here is to not make videos that interest you or describe how you do things. You want to make videos about the content that patients are actually searching for. For example, should I run if I have knee arthritis? The video should answer a question that's commonly raised and hopefully poorly answered elsewhere. And obviously it needs to be something that you treat. So let's say you're a physiotherapist and you love treating patients who've got cervical radiculopathy. So rather than doing a vlog or blog about the interesting way you assess necks, etc., why not do a vlog about the best ways to get comfortable at night if you've got a pinched nerve in your neck? Because patients are going to be searching for that, not your magic technique. If you're not sure where to start, write down a list of questions that patients commonly ask you in clinic and go from there. Tip number 6 is to very intentionally signal to self-funding patients. So if you're mainly used to seeing insured patients, or if you want to see more self-funding patients, listen up. Now you may have patients that do already show up and fund as they go. They're probably the kind of people who are very happy to invest in their healthcare. Money isn't really particularly an object for them. They just want to get the best care possible in the most convenient way. But now, because of COVID, there are many NHS patients who are desperately looking for help that they need that the NHS can't currently provide. And you can help these people. And it's not a bad thing to help these people. But we have to speak to them online in a way that's a little bit different. So, for example, there are some common objections, barriers we'll call them, that patients have to overcome sometimes in order to go from being, I'm a traditional NHS patient, to somebody who thinks of myself as perhaps I could be someone that funds that procedure. So how do you help them overcome those objections? The first objection is obvious. What's this going to cost me? So you must literally write about cost on your website. And I'm not just talking about what the cost of an initial consultation is. You might be thinking, I don't really know what the cost is, Kath, because everyone's different. They might be more broken or less broken. But you're going to be able to talk about cost in ballpark figures. For example, what does it cost to go through a foraminal root injection, with the initial consultation, the procedure, the follow-up? Or how much is it going to cost me to go through ACL reconstruction rehab? The next thing you need to do is talk about your fees in terms of how they relate to other practices' fees. Now take a leaf out of Marcus Sheridan's book, They Ask You Answer, which is a brilliant book, go read it. And he talks about discussing price in terms of factors that raise the price and factors that lower the price. So the clinic down the road may have lower prices than you because they have less experienced physiotherapists than you do. And it may be that you spend twice as long in the initial consultation with the patient. You can actually start the treatment process going. So that's going to raise the price. So talk about it in those terms and state why you've chosen to put your price at X. Now you might be thinking, why do I want to do this? It's got a massive SEO advantage. Patients are literally typing into Google, how much does physiotherapy after ACL reconstruction cost? And guess what? You're going to show up in search and they're going to come and see you. The next issue you probably have to talk about in terms of self-funders who've not been self-funding before is mindset. So many self-funding patients have this idea that somehow choosing to buy your healthcare is a bad thing. It's almost like it's being disloyal to the NHS. I've even had patients who want to self-fund who've been put off by their GP, or even patients who have private health insurance have been told by their NHS GP, wait for the NHS. The problem with that is it's not great when you're in pain and you need your problem solving. You literally need to spell it out in words. Something like, you don't have to have private medical insurance to get your knee pain sorted. Many of our patients pay as you go to get the care that they need now. When you're writing in these terms, do try and include testimonials from patients who have self-funded and who've stated, it was great value, I'm really glad I did that. And finally, a bonus tip is to offer second opinions. Many patients are not sure, should they carry on and wait? Should they get surgery now? Should they get a second opinion on the physio treatment they're having? Because it doesn't really seem to be working. So make sure you flag up that you can give second opinions. I'm Dr. Cass Spencer-Smith at Private Practice Ninja, and if you've liked this video, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to hit subscribe. We'll see you next time.